So one thing I haven't talked about too much on this channel is all the student protests that have been going on um, in regards to what's going on in Gaza. It was the first time for everything. So here we are. Disruptions at University of Chicago graduation as school withholds 4 diplomas. Dozens of students protesting the war in Gaza walked out of the University of Chicago's commencement Saturday as the school withheld the diplomas of 4 seniors over their involvement with a pro-Palestinian encampment. The disruption of the rainy 2-hour outdoor ceremony was brief, with shouts, boos, and calls to stop genocide. A crowd of students walked out between speeches, and a demonstration followed the official ceremony. Some chanted as they held Palestinian flags, while others donned traditional kafaya, black and white checkered scarves that represent Palestinian solidarity over their robes. 4 graduating seniors, including UChicago, were informed by email in recent days that their degrees would be withheld pending a disciplinary process related to complaints about the encampment, according to student group UChicago United for Palestine. My diploma doesn't matter when there are people in Palestine and Gaza that will never walk a stage again, who will never receive a degree. What about them? Who's going to fight for them? Holloway said in a Saturday statement. University officials acknowledged the walkout, saying the school is committed to upholding the rights of students to express a wide range of views, according to a statement. Students have walked out of a commencement at Harvard, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, and others as protest camps have sprung up across the U.S. and in Europe in recent weeks. Students have demanded their universities stop doing business with Israel or companies they say support its wars in Gaza. Organizers seek to amplify calls to end Israel's war with Hamas, which they describe as a genocide against the Palestinians. Small demonstration after the commencement, where the protesters tried to access a closed street, resulted in the arrest of one person not affiliated with the school, university officials said in a statement. University of Chicago encampment was cleared May 7th. Administration had initially adopted a permissive approach, but later said the protests had crossed a line and caused a growing concern about safety. One group temporarily took over a building on the school's campus. So I think one of my takeaways. Sorry, I'm just looking at. I was clicking another article. I think the main takeaway I have with all these student protests is, you know how, like, I don't know if this is, like, as true nowadays, probably still is to some degree, but, you know, for the longest time, conservatives were whining about free speech on campus, right? They were complaining that, you know, the universities are woke, liberal bias, you know, indoctrinating people with intersectionality and what the heck ever, and that you couldn't, you know, speak your mind at university. You couldn't talk about good American values. You couldn't be a conservative at university anymore. It wasn't a safe space for conservatives. Well, look, what are they doing with pro-Palestinian protesters? These kids don't have free speech. These kids are being penalized. They're being arrested. They're being beaten up by the police. I mean, it is dangerous. It's dangerous for your career. I mean, you know, celebrities, you know, are, you know, having their jobs taken away, or, you know, having people come after them publicly. I mean, it's a dangerous time to be pro-Palestinian. And no wonder. I mean, our system is incentivized to not allow this kind of thing. I mean, our system is incentivized to make an example of these people who aren't doing what they're supposed to, right? They're not following the script. And I think that should concern everybody. I mean, this is I don't think is as widespread. It's certainly not, but it reminds one of, like, I don't say why it reminds, I was not alive this time, but if you read about history of, like, Vietnam War protests, right? The Kent State Massacre, things like that. I mean, protesters against the Vietnam War lost their lives. They were arrested. Their job security was, they lacked the kind of job security someone who wasn't protesting didn't or had. Excuse me. They lacked the job security that someone who wasn't protesting had. And the speech of those protesters wasn't taken seriously either. And this more or less just seems like a repeat of that, just on a lesser scale. But I mean, I forget the name, but one philosophy professor, that's my field, that's my specialty. One philosophy professor was arrested at a pro-Palestinian protest, and I think it was a woman. I'm almost certain she didn't do anything violent. Most of these protesters aren't doing anything violent. That's the thing. I mean, yeah, occasionally they might attack a cop. Occasionally they destroy some or damage some property. But in, like, the grand scheme of things, these students aren't causing a lot of damage either to people or to property. I mean, these people are willingly being arrested when it's demanded. Protesters needs to disperse. The encampment needs to disperse. University professors. I think it was university professor was it Columbia? Don't quote me on this. I think they literally called in the police. I mean, universities are calling in local police to deal with this. When you would think they would try to deal with it internally, particularly if they have any respect for their students, which clearly they don't. So I mean, my heart goes out to all these protesters. I mean, they're fighting. They're fighting the good fight. They're putting in the time. They're doing the right thing, I would say. They are doing what activists, are supposed to do, which is fighting for what they think is right, and even if it has personal costs to them, these people who are having their degrees withheld, for example, or being arrested or what have you. I mean, these people are putting their money where their mouth is. And these students should be admired. These students should be emulated. More people should do this. I need to do more of this. And yeah, it's a disgrace how the universities have treated these students. Absolute disgrace. So the universities have shown themselves to be just yet another wing of American empire, and it shows.